Hey friends, welcome back to Jenny Food and My Kitchen. I hope you had a wonderful Thanksgiving yesterday with your family. Today, I just thought I would jump on here real quick and share with you how I am going to use up my leftover turkey meat. I'm talking a turkey and wild rice soup. So let's get to it. So let's talk ingredients. Now, first of all, I have 3 cups of chopped leftover turkey meat. Now, I used an entire large leg, 1 thigh, and then just a few pieces of breast meat to get that. But this is a great way to use up all of that dark meat that people don't always go for on Thanksgiving. So the soup is perfect for that. And then, of course, our seasonings, I have some thyme, marjoram, I have some sage and some parsley, and then we have about half of an onion. I'm going to use kind of a combination of onions that I cut to make things for Thanksgiving dinner, and then I have 2 carrots, some celery. Now I did save like the middle of the celery also because you know we want to use those leaves for flavor. And I'm going to use just a little bit of olive oil and 2 tablespoons of butter to get those veggies soft. And then of course we are going to use 6 cups of chicken stock, which I have better than bouillon. And then lastly, I have this wild rice blend. Now you could use whatever kind of rice you have on hand. You could also substitute cooked noodles. Just leave that rice out, cook everything else together, and then add cooked noodles until the consistency looks right, and you can make a turkey noodle soup. This is a very easy recipe to change up. And then lastly, I have just a little bit of heavy cream that we're gonna add to make that like creamy and delicious. So let's get chopping. All right, I'm just gonna quickly chop these vegetables. And like I said, these were pieces of onions that I had left over from various dishes that were at the table yesterday. I always make my own homemade stuffing. And then we make green bean casserole, mashed potatoes, gravy, cranberries, all the things. All right, next we're gonna go in with our carrots. Now, I just like to, again, just kind of quarter these. And then just little carrot pieces. You could also cut them, if you like it larger, you can also make them larger. Just remember that they will take longer to cook. All right, then lastly, we're gonna cut up our celery and our celery leaves. I'm just gonna have these smaller stalks, and then again, just cut them about the same size as the carrots. And I'm just gonna cut that celery leaves into all of this as well. For those of you that have watched my other soup recipes with celery, you know I always save the leaves because the leaves of the celery give great flavor in soup. Just give that a little bit of a rough chop. All right, friends, our veggies are completely chopped and ready to go back to the stove. I will say, if you have leftover mushrooms or if you've bought mushrooms ahead of time with the wild rice, if that's what you're going to use, mushrooms would also go really good. And just you could put them in with these vegetables. Let's go to the stove. All right, I'm just going to go ahead and add that 2 tablespoons of butter to our chopped veggies. And I'm just going to throw in about a tablespoon of, this is avocado oil, just to kind of help out with that butter. All right, we're going to let these veggies sweat down for about 5 to 10 minutes. All right, it's been about 7 minutes. I am going to go ahead at this point and I'm going to add a couple teaspoons of garlic, 1 teaspoon of parsley, a half a teaspoon of thyme, a half a teaspoon of sage, and a half a teaspoon of marjoram. Now I use all of those in my stuffing for Thanksgiving, so I hadn't even put those away yet. Alright, so I'm just going to swish that all around. Get that garlic and those sweet seasonings incorporated. Alright. Next, I'm going to go in with our rice and our turkey. And just kind of move all of that around. And then I'm going to go in with 6 cups of water. And I will add 6 teaspoons of the Better Than Bouillon, just to make that 6 cups of chicken stock. There's 2. And 6. I actually think I'm going to add just another cup of that stock. And that's just to make sure that we have enough stock for that rice to soak up. Alright, it is almost up to a boil. I'm just going to go ahead and cover that. When it comes to a full boil, I will turn it down and let that go for about 40 minutes, and we'll check it to see if our rice is done. Alright, our rice is completely cooked. It's a good thing I added that extra stock. Now, I am going to add our heavy cream. So we need a half a cup. I've just got a 1/4 of a cup here. So I'm going to add a full cup of cream, and we'll give that a mix. And then if I think it just needs maybe a little more stock, and so I think I'm going to add an extra cup, so that's 8 cups of stock total. Alright friends, our soup is completed, and as you can see, oh, doesn't that look so delicious? Now I did end up adding 8 cups of stock instead of 6. I think the rice just took a little bit more liquid than I had planned on, but And then I added 3/4 cup of the heavy cream altogether. I added like the last, there was just a 1/4 of a cup left, so I just threw it in the soup. So now I am going to serve this up and give this a taste for you. Ooh, look at that, that is still very steamy. But look at that soup. Would you look at that? Doesn't that look delicious? All right, let's give this a taste. This looks so good. There's a lot of meat in here. You could actually get by with just 2 cups of meat, I think. But since my husband is home today and he's been plowing for most of the morning, I think he will enjoy this meaty turkey soup. Oh yeah, that's delicious. Tastes like the day after Thanksgiving. Perfect. That rice is perfect in there. This would be really good with just noodles instead of the rice. But that broth, because it picks up that turkey flavor from the meat. So it doesn't taste like chicken, it tastes like turkey. That is so good. All right, friends, if you're looking for a great way to use up that leftover Thanksgiving turkey, I got you, friend. We'll see you next week. Bye for now.